Hey everyone, Keenan Gray here from DyeStat.com, bringing you another installment of DyeStat discussions. Of course, cross-country season at the high school level just getting underway, and the young man on to the left of my screen right now just actually completed the first two races in the state of Georgia this year. This is Tommy Latham out of Marist High School, who will also be a future North Carolina Tar Heel, joins us here on this DyeStat discussion. Tommy, a pleasure to have you on. And coming into this season, you'll be ranked number 4 in the DyeStat cross-country individual rankings, but tell us where your mind is at. I know your season's already got started, but I mean, you're coming off one of the best seasons ever in the state of Georgia last spring.
Yeah, well, first, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate being on. And yeah, I'm super excited for the season. Like you said, it's underway a little bit now. I opened at like a 2 mile that our school held as our first home meet, the only home meet in my Marist career. So it was super good to um, do that and have the have all the kids from our school come out and watch. And then I just raced another 5K at Starr's Mill, AT&T Panther fight, I think's the whole name, but it was a really good meet, and I'm happy to get the season started. But I'm feeling really good in my training and everything, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the season.
First meet ever in your high school career at home. How
hmm
was that possible?
I don't know. We used to have like a ton of home meets at my school, like back before I went, like in when I was in middle school. And like just kind of with everything, we got a new cross country coach around the same time that I was coming into high school, and one of like the annual invitational that we held just kind of stopped around COVID, and we never had picked it back up. But it was really good to get the home meet experience in, and like we had like more kids come out from my school to a meet than I've ever seen before. We had so many kids. Um, to watch just as spectators, and it was like the coolest atmosphere for me and probably the best case scenario for holding a home meet. So it was really cool.
Especially since you're a senior this year. I mean, that's got to mean not just a lot to the program, but for yourself as well. So to have all of your classmates out there watching you just do your thing, basically, we at DyeStat and everyone else get to see what you do on a daily basis. But I mean, like that's an opportunity that your classmates will get to appreciate what you really do.
Yeah, hopefully it was awesome. I think everybody on my that runs cross country, you know, I guess it's not any secret, cross country is not the most like popular sport for high school kids to go and watch. So I think it was a good moment for everyone on the team just to go out there and have the school really get behind them and everything. So
Well, that's awesome to hear that you guys were able to put something on like that. But again, let's go back to last spring, last fall. I mean, the spring especially, two state records, the mile, the 3200 at the Arcadia Invitation, arguably one of the best 3200 races we've seen assembled in a long, long time. Take us
yeah.
through what you saw just throughout the season, the growth and the maturity of, kind of transforming yourself into the runner you are right now.
Yeah, I think track season was a really big season for me. Not from like not as much even from the like performance standpoint, just from like the process side of things. Like um, I fractured my toe really early into or really early on in the season, and it didn't take me that long to get back from. Like it was like 3 weeks I was out, which in the grand scheme of things, early in the season is minimal. For an injury like that, I was really fortunate to come back quick. But in coming back to running, I just like didn't have didn't have it, I guess is a good way to put it. Like I would run and I would go like lactic, like 800 meters into any run at any pace. And that put me back for a really long time in training. And it was really discouraging. And, because like when I fractured my toe, I was like, like, all right, like we're gonna come back in 3 weeks, we're gonna get back on top of things, and we're gonna have a build. I knew what my injury was, and I like had a plan in my mind for how to come back, so I felt comfortable with that, even though it wasn't where I wanted to be. But when I came back and things like just like kind of fell apart, and I didn't really know why, that was the hardest. And I think um, fortunate to have a really good like I guess just program in general, and there's support from all different aspects, whether it's my teammates or coaches, and even, my parents are great as well. But it took a lot to work through it. And, I raced at Nike Indoor because my team was going up there, and it was a, good experience. But that race didn't go how I wanted to. I didn't expect it to go how I wanted to, but I thought there was like maybe something like some small hope that I could, pull it out and run well. And, it kind of went as expected, but really like kind of built back and kept like, even though we didn't know what was going on, kept trying to build and, be flexible with our schedule and work back. And to by the time I got to Arcadia and like one of the most, prestigious races, the most prestigious 3200 in the country each year. I was the last person in. I like didn't hit the time standard to get into the fast heat. But Rich Gonzalez had, messaged me on Instagram and, said that I could have a chance in it because after NXN he sent me that. And I was really feeling like training was starting to go the right direction, but then again, there were hiccups. Like there were work days where workouts didn't go well. So to go out and perform well at Arcadia was kind of just like a massive turning point for me. And it kind of, showed that even though it didn't go how I wanted it to go, I was able to like work back and really have some good performances. So it was really big for me.
I mean, it was a tone setter too. And I remember talking with you after the race, just the
Yeah.
joy that you had on your face, just the expressions that it had. I mean, it seemed like that was arguably, besides finishing 15th at NXN, that might have been your greatest accomplishment to date. Is that a
Yeah,
fair assessment?
for sure. I remember that interview and I was so happy afterwards. It was just kind of like um I didn't really expect it. It was one of those things I knew it was possible, but to actually go out and do it is always just a totally different feeling. So,
Especially when you got guys like Daniel Simmons, Nathan Neal,
yeah.
Drew Griffith. I mean, the list goes on, just the amount of talent that was in there. Now, of course, they're all off to their respective colleges now, and you guys are now at the forefront of it. You're Josiah, Manny Putz, Ty Stewart's, the list just goes on. How have you felt, kind of like carrying that torch over from a group that really historically what they did last year is a pretty big deal what they did last year, just kind of carrying that on.
Yeah, I mean it's super cool to be like in the um I guess the main spotlight, I guess is like one way to put it, for, lack of better words. But um what they did was incredible last track season, and it was almost like really took a lot of pressure off like your race, like my race, or anyone. I think will say the same thing in my class when you went out and raced, because um like you were going out and doing your thing and they were just like crushing it at the front. You could just run behind them and see what they were doing. It was inspiring throughout the whole year. I mean, from the time the indoor started to an outdoor ended, they were just like every week there was something that class did that you know um you could look at for inspiration. So I think that was kind of awesome, and it's a totally different mindset going into this year, uh having to I guess have that responsibility to be what those guys were for me, for hopefully to be for the class under me. And but I'm super excited with that. This is like, at the end of the day, this is what you'd always want. This is what I've always wanted to have the chance at doing when I was in middle school and my early years in high school. I'm a really big fan of the sport, so I've always looked at the older guys, and especially like the high school senior class. It's always so fun to watch. So I'm excited to get into this year and hopefully, hopefully set an example.
Yeah. And then a little over a month later, you go to St. Louis. You almost break four. I mean, it's about as good as
Amazing.
it gets in a really good field. Just being able to, come close to that barrier. And I think that was the closest. Yeah. So you ran, that
Yeah.
was your closest that you came to the barrier last year at 4:01:74. What does it
hmm
do for you, kind of, mentally? Because what I'm assuming is you're more of a longer distance guy. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I would like to say that. My 800's not
Yeah,
great, so
yeah. But you're starting to become one of those guys that's versatile. And to have a time like that, how important is it to, incorporate a speed like that in such a short race for longer races?
yeah, I think it's really important. One thing that was the biggest like shock to me, I guess, last cross country season was how the race was run at the front. My sophomore year and freshman year, I'd been looking at the front pack in big races rather than running with them. And it's hard to gauge like the strategy that's going on or if there's any. And I think running this year, I was really surprised by how much of like a sprint finish or like a fast last mile it was at the end of even like the cross country races. Um, and I don't remember the exact splits, but I remember being like blown away from our last mile at NXR and like last 800, and I got blown away in that like last mile by Noah. Um, and all the guys that are, winning those big races are also like really good milers, really good speed guys. And it's definitely possible to be up there, running with the pack if you're just like a true distance guy, it's, happens like all the time. But the guys that are there and like fighting for the win down to the line, most of the time they have some sort of speed with them too. So I think developing the speed and track is really important to my development as an all-round runner.
Well, it's guys in that southeast region, like you mentioned, knowing value, that kind of like motivated you to want to get faster.
hmm Yeah, yeah. The Southeast was really good this year. Not to say that the Southeast hasn't been good in past years, but we've definitely had our ups and downs as a region, I guess. And if you think about it in NXN terms, um, and I know the year before last was definitely, as a whole, one of those down years. But this year to come up and be able to run times that I thought like were really really fast the year before, and have guys like out like with me and in front of me, um, was a really good opportunity for me and pushed me a lot.
The other thing I saw is, I mean, you were for the majority of your season, not counting the Georgia State meet, because I assuming that was more of like, all right, let's just get this race over with, because I got NXR coming up. You were pretty consistent throughout the year. What led to that consistency for you?
Yeah, I would like to say that like I do a really good job of staying consistent in races, and I think that comes a lot from my training and just kind of staying consistent in the training. Um, I think that like there's a lot of times where things go wrong in training from one way or another, but just the uh, like my coaches at Marist and my teammates, like I kind of said for track, we do generally a really good job of adapting to all the different things that come up. Like even if it's like a night of a lot of homework, like I'm gonna have tonight, or something that throws you off just super minor like that, or it's something bigger like sickness or even bigger injury. Um, we do a really good job, I think, of keeping the training level, and not pushing it too hard when we're feeling good, but not dying down too much when we're feeling terrible. And I think that kind of leads to, I think as a team we have really good consistency in races. So
Now, to your point about how the Southeast really did a good job at Nike Cross Nationals, I mean, you guys had, I think it was like four guys in the top 30 at NXN. You, of course,
yeah,
were leading the way. Then it was James Partlow. Then it
yep.
was Colin Eckerman,
hmm
Berkeley Nance. I guess from that standpoint, like how proud were you guys of just kind of that moment for the Southeast, knowing that, again, you're racing against the Southwest, who has all the Utah schools,
Yeah.
all the Colorado schools, and then you got the Heartland region, who had a lot of guys also do really well this year. Just have four guys in the top 30. What that mean for the Southeast region?
We were so pumped after the race. I remember like um well, I guess going into the race, we're all the cool thing about NXN is you get to like really know the guys from, especially from your region, all over in regions, but especially from your region, you get to be really good friends with them. And we were sitting and talking before the race, and we were like, guys, like it's a possibility to really like show people how good we are as a region this year. And I remember after the race when we'd kind of done that. I mean, not like anything the Southwest does, but for the Southeast, we had a really big performance historically. And I remember sitting in the room after, in the little locker rooms, and just like talking with some of the guys and being like, man, like we did so well. Like it's crazy how much like we've I don't know, we've improved is a reason, I guess, is a good way to put it. And it's not saying that the Southeast has always been bad. Like when I was in middle school, we had some really good guys as well. It just, I guess, didn't as much come together as a region. Um, but to put together the race that we had there and kind of, I guess, show people that the Southeast is in it too in races, was pretty big for us.
Know what racing is like in the state of Georgia, and I don't necessarily know what like I'm assuming the weather is pretty humid sometimes during the fall, but um that was an interesting race in itself just because of the circumstances of running through a lake and how
Yeah.
everything just kind of flooded over. How did you guys feel like you approached the race and did was there any doubt that you guys could run the times that you did or finish the placings that you did?
Um, I think uh from the guys that were up there in the Southeast, it was a pretty confident group of people. I think that they were like really confident that they were going to do well, just in any condition. I think.
Mhm.
I guess I don't know it whether this is true or not. You hear about like all these different states and how like these states can't run this and these states can't run this, and the Southeast doesn't really get any attention, good or bad. So we were going into it just level-headed, I guess. And I think the other thing is like not being a big region in the past, like we didn't really have any pressure. I remember, I think it was Colin Eckerman and I talking before the race, and we were like, it doesn't really matter that it's raining. Like we don't have anything to lose here. Like if the only thing it can do for us is make it better. It's not really going to be um, anything terrible. We're just out here to go and see what we can do. So um, I think we approached it with a good mindset, and we were out there and we knew it was going to be bad. Definitely not as bad as it was. Like we had no clue the lake was there in the middle, but it I think it worked out well for the majority of us. So
I don't think a lot of people expected the lake to be there. I don't even think the
yeah,
people that live in the state of Oregon expected to have something like that. Nonetheless, though, you finished 15th, and to be quite honest, like it seemed like that moment right there opened up so many opportunities, like Arcadia, like
yeah,
for you to
yeah.
kind of like take that step forward in your training. Just how much confidence do you feel like you have gained since that race in December of last year?
I feel like I've gained a ton of confidence. Like it's one thing to be like a really good runner in your respective state or anything like that and win like races here or there, but to go out on the national stage, and obviously I didn't win or anything, but to be up there with some of the top guys, and it spread out at the end. Like JoJo really opened it up, but for the majority of the race, like I was there with the pack, and like there was a like distinct, I guess not a distinct pack up front, but like a lot of guys up there, and I was in definitely in with all of them. And I think to have run with those guys and to be relatively close to the best in the country was really motivating for me, and kind of like showed that um like not everything in my season went perfect, and like I'm like like I definitely have room for improvement here, and it's really motivating when you can do something like that and know that you still have areas to improve.
You look at guys that come back. You're the third fastest guy coming back from that Nike Cross Nationals final. What does that do for your excitement? Kind of just going into the season. I know it's a while down the road until you get to the NXR Southeast, but now that you're one of those top three guys that is looking to get on that podium at the end of the day in Portland.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm a big fan of the sport. So to be in that contention to win NXN is something I've dreamed of since or not win NXN, but podium at NXN is just in those guys is something that like I've dreamed of for a long time. And I think to just even be in that pack last year was something that was um like I'd never really thought I'd do. I was like, it was one of those things where you always say like you want to do it or whatever, but in the back of your mind you're like, oh, I don't really think that's possible. So to go do that just like opened a lot of doors in my mind, I guess. And I'm really looking forward to this year to be able to go out there and still go out there wanting to have fun, but really go out there looking to compete. So
Now, one of the things I had a difficult time was putting together the top 10, let alone the top 15 at the beginning of the season, because I'm looking at this list, I'm like, That guy could win NXN. That guy
Yeah,
could win NXN. That guy could win NXN. That guy definitely can win NXN. The class of 2025 has so many questions, but so much talent. What do you
yeah.
think it is about this particular class that has really excelled these last couple of years?
I think our class has had like a ton of every single aspect of distance running, like a ton of like versatility, I guess. Like you have like
Mhm,
guys that, coming in my freshman year, I know Josiah was like 406 or something like that as a freshman in the mile or 1600 or somewhere in that ballpark. And it's just like, oh my gosh, like that's crazy. And then you have like all these kids, like I know like Keegan Smith ran like a 1450 in the 5K. And so we had all those kids as freshmen, and those kids are like some other classes. You see kids that are really good like that as, um, like as freshmen, and then they don't get to make it to when they're a senior and be that good.
mhm,
But our class has those guys, and those guys motivated all of us, and then they're still competing at the highest level. And like, but vice versa, you have guys that were virtually unknown their freshman and sophomore year and then came out of nowhere and just are, tearing it up their junior year. We have
mhm,
guys that are really good at the 800 and really good at the 1600. We have guys that are like super good distance guys and like the 5K, and we have all different aspects of the sport, and it's just kind of, nobody, I guess everybody wants to be uh, good at everything, although it doesn't happen.
mhm,
So even though like, um, you know, one kid I might not be able to run, um, you know, Owen Powell's 800. Uh, it's still like, well, he can do it. Like I want to do it. So even though that might not be my strong suit, like I still am, looking at him for inspiration and, wanting to run something like him. And we just have that all across the board on our class. So I think that really helps to develop it.
and for someone that kind of makes these predictions, not the only one that does it, of course, other outlets do it, but like for the last 2 years we had a pretty good idea of like who could potentially win. Like 2 years ago it was the young twins. They have a chance to go 1-2 at NXN. Well, that didn't
Yeah.
happen. Last year we thought Daniel Simmons could win. That didn't happen. So we
Yeah.
shouldn't be making predictions, it sounds like, because everybody else keeps surprising us. So for you, kind of just going into the season, like what are your expectations? Like I know you said you want to be on the podium, but I mean, the national title's got to be on your mind too.
Yeah, it for sure is. And somebody from the Nike Elite program said, I don't remember who it was, but they kind of like said a good way to approach a season, and like it's kind of been, um what I'm doing it for is I'm kind of approaching it like I want to be good enough to where like, or my goal I guess is good enough to win like last year, win the year before that. Like I have no clue if somebody like JoJo is gonna come out and just have like a spectacular couple months like he did, you know, from NXN and like onto indoor. Like you would never have projected him to win like the day before Nike, and then all of a sudden he
Mhm.
came out and just like he was like surprised everyone. It was like, wow, like JoJo's a good runner, and it wasn't just like a fluke either. He went and broke four, and he's just like obviously a really good runner. But so I can't control like if anybody's gonna have that stretch, like if anybody's gonna come and like uh just have the best season in history. And like, so I think if my goal is like winning or getting podium or something, it's a little bit hard to gauge. But I'm really looking to be uh 15 seconds, 20 seconds better than I was last year, I guess, throughout the season, which is, what I would have taken to win. And I think if I can be there and or at least be close, I think I put myself in, the best position I can know, and then we'll go from there. But
I think that's a fair assessment. Again, like I've said, we've seen so much improvement from you. Have we also seen improvement from your team? What can we expect from the Maris team this year? What things can shake up for them in the state of Georgia?
yeah, we're at a point in the season where we could be insane. We could be really good, or we could not be. I think we have Liam and Andrew, and they're looking really strong in training. Like I just went on a run with Andrew today, and he looked really strong, really really strong. And his opener didn't necessarily go the way he wanted, but he's looking really good. And then Liam is looking amazing. Liam always is really good. And then our 4 and 5 are where we're, I guess our fours. Kyle, he's looking really good too. He wasn't looking good at the 2 mile, but then he just came out in the opener and just like crushed it. So he's where he needs to be. Our fives where we're looking right now, and that's the part that is we're yet to know. We have a ton of sophomores and juniors and freshmen that are fighting for that spot, and they're in they all ran like between 17 and 18 minutes. And it's like if we can get one of those guys to just like cut down a little bit into the 16s, like that's some big uh, point reduction for us. But like if they, don't do that, we're still a good team. We're still really solid, but it's just once you get into the higher numbers, it really depends on your fifth man because the points add up quick with how competitive the depth of teams are. So I'm really excited to be in this position though because it's cool. Like we have something to work for sure. We didn't just go out and run our opener and it's like, all right, now we just got to hold on. Even though we've started racing, we're definitely still in training mode, and we know we have a lot of room to improve come the end of the season. So we'll try to win state right now. That's our biggest team goal. It always is, and it was good to get that checked off. For me, at least personally, one time last year, we won team as a state, and that was good. And but we're looking to do it again. That'd be even better. So
And not to mention the fact you guys broke the four by 1600 state
yeah,
record as well last year. Totally forgot about that one at Arcadia. Which, by the
yeah.
way, folks, he ran that the night before going back to run the 846 down in Arcadia. So his legs were a little tired probably after that 4 by 16. So one last thing I want to leave with you, Tommy. Obviously, this is your last year. Next fall, you are heading off to Chapel Hill. We've talked about goals of kind of like where you want to be at, but like what's the biggest thing you really want to accomplish this year? What's something you want to leave with this legacy that you created at Marist?
Well, yeah, that's a tough question. I'd say I really just want to be a good teammate and I guess inspiration to the younger guys at Marist. We have such a good team culture, and I think that our senior class has done a good job of keeping that alive. But that's really only possible because like I remember my freshman year, how great the seniors were for us, and it's so easy to look up to them and um, just build off what they've created, and that's really helped our program. So this year I'm gonna try my best to be a leader, I guess, on the team and be an inspiration for the younger guys because we have some guys that could be really good if they just keep at it, keep working. But to do that, you need to also enjoy it. You need to have fun with the team, and so yeah.
Leader and one of the best to ever lace them up in the state of Georgia, Tommy Latham. Really appreciate your time, man. Wish you nothing but the best in your last season wearing a Marist jersey. We hope to see you down the road at Nike Cross Nationals.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys having me on.